Well, hello and welcome to the Cycle Commuter Task Force Lunch and Learn. I'm Tess Woods. I'm with the newly merged organization Bike Indianapolis and SEBA, the Central Indiana Bicycling Association. Welcome. I'm glad that you're here. If you're not familiar with the Cycle Commuter Task Force, it is a collaborative effort between Bike Indianapolis, SEBA, CERTA, Commuter Connect, and Bicycle Garage Indy. We offer monthly lunch and learns and active transportation meetups. So today we're talking about winter riding, and our presenter is Tony Cherolis, and I'm going to go ahead and let him take over from here. I do want to say if you have any questions, you can always throw them in a chat. I'll be watching that, and we'll kind of wave to Tony when he let him know that you have a question. All right. Thanks, Tony.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining. Also, in addition to putting questions in the chat, if you have a best practice or lesson learned or, funny story about cold weather riding or winter riding, put it in the chat. Those are fun too. Skill sharing is not just one direction. So, again, my name is Tony Cherolis. You can call me Anthony or Tony. Either of those I'll answer to. I work at BGI downtown and do other active transportation things in my life. I've been a bike commuter since 2004, really, starting before that in college, but in my professional life later. And kind of went to the all year or year round and maybe 2004 or 5 I was started riding through the winters, mostly for personal health at that point in my career. At this point I'm been car free since 2010, so that gives me less opportunities to drive, and I have to jump or take the bus or walk. Occasionally do rent a car, but usually for just longer stuff. So what I've generally learned is, with the right gear and expectations, you really can be comfortable, and it's fun. If you'd like a little bit of suffering and you're mixed in with your fun, that is easy to find if you're riding through the winter. But you don't have to suffer. So we're going to focus on cold weather riding. I'm really not going to get into maintenance today. If you were looking for maintenance tips for the winter, my primary maintenance tip is, brush off the crud, keep your chain lubricated, and make sure you get your overhaul done in the winter when the bike shops have time to do that, rather than wait 4 weeks in the middle of the busy season when the bike shops have a backlog. So that's my maintenance recommendation. I'll have a couple other little ones kind of baked in here into the presentation, but that's my maintenance takeaway. All right, start going through these. So I've, in addition to commuting, I've done, just winter riding in general. I've done some winter riding that I don't think I'd recommend to anybody. In December of 2017, I had a break in my calendar and I took 3 weeks to bike tour from Hartford, Connecticut to Cleveland, Ohio. If you've ever been to Cleveland or that area of the country near the Great Lakes in the winter, it snows every day. When you get close to the lakes, that's just the lake effect snow, especially if the lake hasn't frozen over yet. So did that in December, and the photo that's up right now is I think my second or third day riding. I was into upstate New York, along a river valley on a curvy, hilly road, and it was my first day of snow. That night I had to stop riding because my bike was too covered in ice and I had no traction, and I was riding slicks at that point in the tour. I had mailed studded tires ahead to a city just short of the lake effect zone. So I was not fully prepared for snow at this point in the trip. But I managed to survive. and not freeze and be comfortable, even while camping and sleeping in this stuff. So, uh, all sorts of winter riding experiences is what I'm able to talk about. Mostly today, I'll talk about the basics and gear for around town riding rather than sleeping and camping in the snow. Um, I think the primary thing you'll hear about winter and cold weather riding is to dress in layers. You'll leave the house and you'll be cold. Maybe 5-10 minutes later, you'll find you wore too much, or at least for a period of time, you might be overdressed. Layers with zippers kind of help moderate temperature. If you're into a headwind, you may zip up. If you're riding and there's no wind or the wind's behind you, you may be unzipping several layers to keep from getting too warm. You may be taking layers off entirely. Having a backpack or a pannier or a rack top bag to put some layers in is nice, such that you're able to take off layers as you go. Having a bag is also nice if you're not quite sure or the weather may be changing in the middle of your ride, or you're going to be riding into a headwind for part of it. You may stuff a layer or a wind block layer or a rain jacket into your bag and pull that out later when you need to change your temp and adjust. So having good layers is part of it. And it doesn't have to be that technical. I bike in the winter to work at BGI year round. I'm, wearing normal human clothes most of the time, and just might have a windbreaker or a fleece layer or some rain pants pulled on over top of whatever I'm going to be wearing at work that day. So you don't have to, spend thousands of dollars on technical gear. Just plan for layers. The technical gear really only gets most important if you're trying to stay lightweight and do a bike tour in December. But very few people are going to do that. So the things that people tend to have the most struggle with in the winter is feet, hands, and face, right? So my primary recommendation for feet is, if you're running clipless pedals, stop doing that in the winter. Put flat pedals on and wear boots or wear, winter capable shoes. Those metal pedals and metal clipless cleats on the bottom of your shoe, or as a former engineer, are just really good heat exchangers. It's extremely effective at pulling heat out of the bottom of your foot, no matter how insulated that shoe is. So going to flat pedals and boots is your best way to keep your feet warm. If you really want to stay clipped in, there are winter clipless shoes that are very insulated, including an insulation layer between you and that metal clip on the bottom of your shoe, the cleat. You can also use shoe covers that are pretty effective. I do recommend, if you're getting a separate pair of winter cycling shoes, to go a size up so you have room for more socks or thick socks. And you don't want to just like jam extra sock layers into a shoe such that it's too tight, because as soon as you cut off circulation, your feet are going to get cold. So you want to have layers, but not so many layers that your circulation is restricted. Lots of ways to have warm hands. Having winter gloves that are rated generally for the temperatures you're planning to ride in. And then when it gets really cold, going to something that you might see on the ski slopes and on cross-country skiing. So my favorite is, leather mittens, like snowboard or skiing leather mittens with a thin liner glove. That can take me down to, sub-zero temps and still be comfortable. The other thing that we find very successful at the shop for folks that are winter riding is setting up bar mitts on their on a winter bike or on their bike they're using for winter commuting or winter riding. Whether it's a flat bar version or a drop bar version, they're neoprene pockets that block the wind. People actually, you're underneath those bar mitts, they wear pretty lightweight gloves, even when it's very cold outside, because they're so effective. So a couple ways to go about it, and they're all effective. Head and face. I mean, if to maintain, keep wearing your helmet, you can only get so much underneath a helmet. So generally that's a thin hat or a balaclava. The next level of warmth is to basically use your helmet like a insulated cooler, right? So it is insulation itself. It just has these big holes in it. So if you put a helmet cover on your helmet, it's going to get a lot warmer. So a thin hat underneath, a helmet cover on your helmet. I like to wear, wraparound sunglasses to keep the wind out of my eyes. But the next level above that is to go to like ski or snowboard goggles, and a ski or snowboard helmet. So the helmet on the far bottom right looks like a robot. My sister has that one that she uses in the winter. She's very cold sensitive and does not ever like to be cold. So she's got a ski helmet that has integrated goggles, and she uses that for her bike commutes in the winter between Broad Ripple and downtown. So if ever you see somebody that looks like a robot on a cargo bike, that's my sister. Face masks, and pulling a balaclava up is also effective. I've got the benefit of being able to grow a beard, so that's a lot of my face mask, but occasionally I'll still use the balaclava and pull it up if it's really cold and I just don't want to have any exposed skin. Tires and brakes is another consideration. Today, because of the rain and ice storm stuff last night, I was worried there might be a bunch of ice. So I rode in on my bike that had studded tires. So that's something I carried with me from when I lived in Connecticut, and I would have a bike that was set up with studded tires for 3 or 4 months of the year. And that was the one I took out when it was nasty. Here I don't do that very much. This winter more than last for sure. But the studded tires the studs are actually part of the tire. They're carbide studs on a good one, like the Marathon, Schwalbe Marathon winners. They don't wear out. They last for 5-6 years, and it's something you can put on a what I call a winter beater bike. Is to have that your winter tires or your bad weather tires set up on that bike. Most days the roads are clear, right? So you're not going to need anything special for riding relative to tires. But it is nice to have something wider with a bit more tread. And if you're really just going to go at it any and all days in the winter, having studded tires is a magic on the ice, which we experienced a good bit this winter. I say for winter, carry spare tubes. You don't want to patch a tube or deal with tubeless sealant in the winter. It is not something that's going to be fun. Just throw a spare in after you've pulled whatever sharp things in your tire. Get it back on, pump it up, and go home. Deal with the any patching at home. It's not going to work to patch a tire in sub-freezing or freezing temperatures anyway. For braking, generally brakes will work in the winter. Disc brakes are more predictable than rim brakes. The challenge that rim brakes will have is if you're splashing through any puddles and then it refreezes on the rim brakes are going to have trouble with stopping. Whereas the disc brakes are further away from those puddles, they tend not to ice up. And one thing you can do with both types of brakes in the winter is just, test them occasionally. If you are, even when you're not needing to brake, just squeeze the brakes, make sure that the braking surface is clean and functioning. So let's see. And just to reiterate, it is nice to set up, a crummy beater bike for the winter, something for bad weather. It may be your rain weather bike during the spring, summer, and fall. But just having a bike that you take out when the situation is less than ideal. All right. Visibility, being visible is extremely important in the winter. You've got all sorts of situations that are distracting drivers, reducing their visibility, and making it more important for you to have things that pop out and get you seen. Year round, it's important to have lights with daytime strobe. It's even more important in the winter with the short days and the visibility challenges. Wearing gear or having a bag or gear that pops out and catches people's attention. You don't want to look gray and brown in a world of gray and brown. You'll just blend in. There are some good winter tires and all-season commuter tires that have reflective sidewalls. Being visible from the side is just as important as being visible from the front and the back. So any reflectivity that goes to the side and catches folks when you're crossing driveways or crossing intersections is great. You might be wearing long pants in the winter. Having a reflective strap or reflective light up ankle straps, just another bonus for visibility. It's functional, keeps your pants out of the chain, but also increases your visibility and your moving visibility. So that up and down motion of your leg is recognizable to drivers as, hey, that's a bike. So lots of ways to be more visible in the winter and reasons why it's important. All right. I realized last night I hadn't put anything in about hydration and nutrition. You're going to drink a little less in the winter generally because you're sweating less, right? It's less hot, but you probably do want to plan to have water, and you don't want it to be frozen solid. If you don't have an insulated bottle, or it's so cold that your insulated bottle needs some help, you can put it in your bag or in a back pocket under your jacket. But the same insulated bottles that keep your water cool in the summer or can keep your water from freezing in the winter. So you will be burning more calories to stay warm. So it's not a bad idea to have either some like sugars and salts in your water bottle, whatever drink mix you like, or bring some snacks with you. Just know that you're going to be working harder in the winter, especially if you're running some chunky tires for tread. Studded tires do have a bit more drag on them. You're going to hear them. Any tires with knobs on them are going to be slower than smooth rolling tires. You'll work a little bit harder for the distance that you're going, whether or not it's commuting or recreation. But it makes you feel so much better in the spring when you put your fast tires back on. All right, and that's Drake on the right side. He was dressed up yesterday before his commute home. He's got some bar mitts on there, a big Carhartt jumpsuit, and I would say he's more cold sensitive than I am. So that's his 30-degree setup. All right, then we can get into technology. There are lots of additional ways now to keep your hands and feet warm, from heated socks or insoles to heated gloves. My sister now has hot pants, which are heated tights that have a battery pack that she can recharge. And she loves those. From a disposable standpoint, the hand warmers and foot warmers are a good backup to have in your bag. Especially if you're going out for long rides and you're not sure of the conditions are going to be for that entire ride. the thing when you start relying on technology is you have to also rely on yourself to keep it charged. I struggle just to keep my lights charged. So I've stayed mostly out of the technology side of things. If I'm doing long rides or camps, I'll put a couple of the hand warmers in a bag just as a backup. So along with whatever my extra layer is. Winter don'ts. Don't spray your bike down with water. I know it's going to look terrible when you get home. It might be covered in crust and crud. Knock that off with a brush, and lubricate your chain, wipe the chain down. Don't spray it down with water unless you can dry it all the way back out. And that may take more than a day if it's sitting in a cold garage, right? If you get water into the cables, they can freeze up. It may be fine, working fine in your garage, but as soon as you or basement, wherever you store your bike, but as soon as you ride outside and you hit that 0-degree temp, it'll freeze up. You'll lose your brakes, you'll lose your shifting, whatever is actuated by cables. If you've gotten water into there, it can freeze up as soon as you start riding. We get that at the bike shop in the winter. Somebody will come in and say, hey, my brake's locked up or my shifting's not working. And it's just that they've gotten liquid into the cables and housing. Don't forget to check your weather forecast before you go ride. The temps and conditions can change fast. You'll leave and maybe it's 50, but by the end of your ride, it could be 20. And that's when you need to have those extra layers in your bag. Your phone is going to do better if you keep it in your pocket rather than on your handlebars in the winter. Those batteries don't appreciate or don't have good power when they're running at temperatures below freezing. So I tend to keep mine in like a shirt pocket or a pants pocket rather than out there in the cold temperatures, especially if I'm going for any longer ride. Lubricate your lock. A U-lock that's gotten some rain in it and then refroze is not a fun thing to figure out at the end of the day. So one way you can keep that from happening is to keep it lubricated, drip some chain lube into the lock core and into the parts that move. Do that, as often as you lubricate your chain. Could be every week if you're out in all weather, could be once a month, but especially if you're out in the wet weather, do not forget to lubricate your lock. And take it easy on winter turns. When it's near or below freezing, ice can surprise you. That's one benefit of running with the studded tires is I'm less likely to be surprised because they do still maintain traction on the ice. All right, and if anybody else has winter don'ts, put them in the chat. I'd love to see them. All right. And it is awesome and fun. You can still have good rides in the winter. We've been doing Saturday rides in January and into February. We're going to do them through February. I think March will be too busy at the shop, but we're doing Saturday rides at 2 p.m. out of the BGI downtown location. We've been canceling if it's under 20 or raining. That's been our cutoff. So it's a little lower than most winter outdoor or cutoffs. So if you're hardy and want to do some winter riding, we've been having good groups coming out on Saturdays. So I've been the lead for those, and we'll continue them through the end of this month. And this is my question and answer. The picture on the left there is as I rode into the snow belt in December of 2017 towards Lake Erie. They had 5 or 6 inches of snow that day. At this point, I had my studded tires on the touring bike and just in time. The next week, after I got to Cleveland, I rented a car and visited a bunch of friends in the Midwest. The next week, they got 5 feet of snow. So that was a lot more. That would have been a different experience. I don't know what I've done. The top right photo is, I believe that's the January bike party, where it was super snowy. And I think 30 people came out and just enjoyed that sloppy sufferfest. And the bottom photo is I was riding to work on a snowy morning, and folks are walking dogs, kids are riding their bikes with parents. Um, like it's the Monon Trail and the other trails like the Cultural Trail have remained rather busy through this entire winter. I think it's really fun to see. If anybody has any questions or fun stories or winter don'ts, I would love to see them. I'm gonna uh,
There
drop
were,
this.
sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I'm gonna drop screen share and
Yeah.
pull up the chat and talk to y'all.
Yeah, there's some comments. Thanks, Ross has put some comments in here just about his own experiences with certain gear. Um, says here, he talked about merino wool, which is a good one to wear, and warned us against cotton, right, Ross? And then he talked about reflective gear. So check on this. He's provided some really nice links to some of these items. Feel free to, if you want to mention anything about it, Ross, feel free to do so.
Got it. And I see reflective, like spoke reflectors. Those are a good bonus for side visibility. The other thing I've used is just reflective stickers on the bike frame. Especially if you've got a beater bike and you're not trying to maintain its aesthetic purity, uh, reflective stickers are great. Put them all over my touring bike. Yep. Got the buff or neck gaiters. Those work great. Very convertible. Excellent. For my short work trips, I don't worry too much about the cotton versus wool, but anything I'm doing that's longer, or if it's going to be a rainy day or a crummy day, I may make sure I'm wearing like a wool layer instead of a cotton shirt. So great stuff there. Anybody had winter don'ts? Right. Yeah, don't stop writing is
Don't
the
stop
primary
writing.
winter don't. Ask a friend, if you are like not sure what to choose for gear, ask a friend, come to the bike shop. And, at our shop, everybody rides in the winter. Most of us are commuters. So in addition doing recreational riding. So we're going to have a lot of advice. The fogging of glasses or ski goggles. Um, so uh, but one of the challenges is if you do put a face mask on, right, it tends to like send hot air up into your glasses or your goggles. Um, what I find, folks, I benefit from not wearing a face mask most of the time, but when I do, it does cause some glasses fogging, especially when you stop. The folks that wear goggles have less of a problem with that, especially if they're designed to not fog. They're vented and they're coated, so they're less likely to fog. That's been probably that's probably the best approach is the ski goggles that are made not to fog. And if you have a face mask that's vented, and so that the warm, moist air doesn't go just straight up out of your face mask, but can come down or out the front, that helps as well. So, and one of the benefits of slippery winter riding in my winter riding crash experience is you tend to slide when you crash. And so it's less injurious than summer riding. If you go down in the summer, you're going to lose some skin, tear some clothes, but in the winter, you're more likely to just slide with your bike. So that's one side, silver lining benefit of slippery riding. But still, to reduce that likelihood, getting they have grippier winter tires. I know that Continental and Schwalbe make winter tires that are grippier, or you can go all the way to the studded tire version if you're very averse to those slippery conditions, or just wait for the days that are cold but clear, and stay on the dry roads. Cool. Kept it short and sweet today. We've got a couple rides coming up. I mentioned the Saturday rides at 2 p.m. At PGI downtown. It's a 1411 Roosevelt Street. We're right next to North Mass Boulder. We do leave very close to 2 p.m., so don't show up at 2:10. Try to show up a little early. The other rides that are coming up, we've got Bike Party this Friday at 7, starting from MLK Park. It starts gathering at 7 p.m. That one's actually going to ride up to Pennsylvania Street, so that they can point out where the bike lane was recently rejected, even though it should have been put in by Complete Streets Ordinance, to highlight that issue. So that'll be a fun issue-oriented bike party. And then I think on the February 22nd in the morning is a polar bear ride. So we got some good opportunities for winter riding for anybody that's interested.
That's right. That's a mayor's ride, so it's fun because it's police escorted, so you don't get a lot of those opportunities. So that starts at 10 and begins at Bottle Works. And then also, as part of the Cycle Commuter Task Force, we are starting our active transportation meetups, and our first one is going to be on April 17th, which is a Thursday, from 7 to 9 a.m. at Hubbard and Cravens in Broad Ripple. And we don't have that save the date kind of thing. We'll put out an event for that on Facebook soon. So just keep that in mind as well. I don't think there's anything else. Please mark your calendars for the next Lunch and Learn, which is on March 13th. So these are always on the second Thursday of the month, and that will be on bike commuting. If you're interested, please get on and sign up for that link to be sent to you. I did put in the beginning of the chat that we have the link for all of our Lunch and Learns. So we've have quite a few from the last few years on all different kinds of topics. So please feel free to click on that to check those out and watch some of those. They're all on YouTube. So does anybody have any other questions at all for Tony about winter riding? Just want to give everyone one last chance before we wrap it up. All right. Well, it is short and sweet. Oh, you're welcome, Ross. Well, thanks you all. Let's give you some time to have some lunch. Thank you so much for attending, and we hope to see you next month. All right. Thank you.
Cool. I'll see you all at Broad Ripple. Bye.
That's right.
See ya.
Thanks, Tony.